The last sliver of hope vanished in an instant. Malaysia's prime minister announced today that Flight 370 went down in the Indian Ocean and all 239 people on board are dead.
Most of the circumstantial evidence, I believe, points towards an abduction of this plane. I don't know why, and I don't know by who, but I'm convinced that that plane was taken by.
Hey guys, how's it going tonight? Hope we're doing well. That's probably a little too loud, huh? Oh, why is it so loud? I don't know. Anyway, guys, maybe we'll join Green Street's space if he's still going. I don't know what's going on. The Skyfire space, maybe because they did it earlier, they're not doing it tonight. Not sure. See what we can find out here. Stephen Green Street. How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully we're doing well. Looks like you guys did not enjoy my video game stream. Oh, Stephen Green Street is going. He's popping off. Here we go. Here we go, guys. Oh, Average Chris is up there.
A lie. It's just their version of reality. Lakatsky strikes me as someone who's like a true believer. Here. Let's see. All right. Lou Angeles, hit me.
Why don't I hear anything? Oh,
hey,
we're not
bud.
plugged in.
So I just wanted to comment on what you said a little earlier about it's weird to get thanks and the basic journalism aspect of this, but man, stepping back, I mean,
Oh, it's a bunch of douchebags.
Like a few hours to explain the complexity.
Now the volume's maxed out. It's really loud. You got to check your volume on your side.
Goes. You might think of it as basic journalism, but honestly, man, it was one of the main reasons.
Yeah, that game was fun. I'm gonna definitely play that later.
Did a 180 on the topic, primarily because of your reporting and our discussions behind the scenes and stuff. So I
Oh god, these guys are absolute losers. Holy crap!
So short like that, or I don't know, not. I understand begrudgingly.
We got Lou reviews and Average Chris and Stephen Green Street. Yikes, chat. Yikes.
It will be looked at in a few years. I mean, it took, it takes too long sometimes for people to catch on.
I might as well just monologue, right? Like, what's the point of listening to these guys?
I think in a few years,
total morons.
Considered insanely valuable because people are going to come back and go, "Oh shit, how did
Lou reviews is just an embarrassment."
And I think you're highlighting beautifully.
Well, I appreciate that. I hope so. I mean, I spent a shit fuck amount of time on it.
No, I know. I know you did. Well, here's the things that I took away from the report. The first thing that I think is very encouraging is that our military pilots are confusing, in some cases, not all cases, but in some cases, they are confusing our new hardware for alien craft. Which tells me, I mean, shit, man, maybe we have kind of broken through as far as some sort of new tech is concerned.
Right.
And I think that's pretty exciting, and I think that's a neat story. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. And again, like the...
Hey, guys. Hey, everybody. Hey, we're 3 Conscious Energies.
Give me a second.
Hey, D-Boss.
These pilots, a lot of these pilots, I don't think these pilots are liars. I think they believe they saw something otherworldly or something very, very strange that they couldn't explain. I don't think these military witnesses are just at least, I don't know, maybe that guy with where was it, where he touched the football size, I don't know. But most of these guys, most of these people, they seem like they legitimately experienced something, saw something. And I initially, with the New York Times.
Okay, so now I can't even barely listen to these guys, man. Sorry, I had it on not on full screen there. I can barely listen to these guys. There's just such morons. Like, now they're gonna say they think they saw something. Like, these are the idiot debunkers, right? Who think that the pilots are lying, and now they're doing a full 180. And claiming, oh yeah, maybe the pilots did see some advanced technology, but it was just our advanced technology. Are you guys freaking kidding me, man? Are you kidding me? These are the same people that are trying to debunk us when we're literally talking about that we've got U.S. advanced technology. Guys, I'm just going to throw it out there. All the people that are in this space are fucking morons, and I've been trying to tell them that we've got technology that is advanced technology, right? I don't even really care what people in the UFO community believe anymore, because whatever, man. It's such a shit show with these people that it just doesn't even bother me what they believe and what they don't believe, right? And this is why I stepped away from the case, because these people are just unhinged. They're mentally unstable. And this is everybody on all sides, man. And the reality is, whatever, we're just going to abuse and profit off the technology, right? If you were smart, you invested in semiconductor stocks 6 months ago when we started this investigation, when we found out that superconductivity had already been figured out. And if you look at semiconductor stocks, you'll see that they're up like a huge amount, like 40 to 100%, right? Like Nvidia's worth $2 trillion, guys. $2 trillion is what Nvidia is worth. Does that sound like a reasonable amount of money for a graphics card producer? No, because they're producing superconductive microchips for quantum computers, right? That's why they're worth so much money. This is not investment advice, but just want to let you guys know that. My God. Okay, well, let's listen to some Miller's crap.
Read into that when DARPA and the military get together and create some groundbreaking technology, they don't send a department-wide email saying, hey, FYI, everyone in the government, this exists. Like, they don't do that. Only a select few know that thing exists. And so random pilot A flying his F-18 off of whatever ship off Georgia probably hasn't been read into that. And so if he looks off in the distance and 50 miles away, they're conducting some separate test over there, I could see how he could go, wait, what the hell is that? And then come back and not get answers because he's not read in, So it's like no one's really at fault there, but the problem is you have these activists who are taking advantage of that confusion and of that that story, and they're appropriating it and taking it to mean aliens or otherworldly or interdimensional, and they're using it as to platform themselves.
Oh,
and then
the thing with those activists that you mentioned is that they also are the only ones who have access to the guys that have stopped.
Guys, there's like two competing spaces going on, and I hate both sides, right? You've got the Green Street Lou reviews, like moron PTSD, wannabe CIA Chris in one, the debunkers. And then you've got the Cosmic Dahlia UAP Mike, like true believers on the other, right? Neither of them have any concept of what UFOlogy is even about, right? Like they're all in it. Both of these sides are all just in it for the freaking drama, right? None of these people have any concept of the science. That's the funny part, is nobody on either side has any concept of the science and what's possible. That's what I think is just so embarrassing about the UFO community and why it's just such a shit show. I'm gonna just pop off on these people, honestly.
Just with drones, a thing that was jaw-dropping to me was during the St. Patty's Day parade in New York City, which is a huge event in New York City. A Post reporter named Kevin Sheehan, I should give him credit, caught this and dug into it. The NYPD was speaking to the press and speaking to the public. And at the very end, they said, please don't fly any drones. It was the last thing they said, and they emphasized it. And Sheehan went up and was like, why the emphasis on that? And basically it's because the NYPD at the time had no jurisdictional power over stopping drones, investigating incursions of drones. And it was like, well, who does? And it's like the Department of Justice and the FAA. Well, is the Department of Justice and FAA going to be in New York City during the St. Patty's Day parade? Probably not. So the NYPD kind of had its hands tied. And it was just scary kind of to think about that. New York City, there was a guy in Times Square who got on top of like an 8-foot quadcopter and sailed around. He was standing on top, sailed around Times Square.
Okay, I can barely even listen to these guys, man. These guys are just terrible. So my options are either this terrible space or the other terrible space with Cosmic Dollar, UAP Mike, Nick Gold. This guy is like CNN brain patient zero, right? Literally thinks that aliens are visiting us, but them faster than light travel can't be possible because he hasn't heard it on CNN. As well as Carlos Danger is like one of the most unhinged nut jobs in all of UFO Twitter. And then Kent Reynolds, a guy who's got like I don't even know how many issues this man has, but literally tried to claim to podcasters that I stole his information, which guy is just complete cuckoo in for Cocoa Puffs. Like, man, I don't know, guys. I can't stand the UFO community. I really have. This is why I don't want anything to do with it. It's just all terrible on all sides. Nobody on either side gives a crap about the science or what's possible or what's not. They all just want to talk past each other, right? Like, you've got literally two different factions that are both in their own space and nobody's talking to one another. Kind of feels like we need our own space for this. It's just so garbage.
Melons, OSAP.
Hey, alien girl.
Do you think
welcome to Friday night
have the intention of bringing not only the DOD's attention to it, but cities like New York and big metropolitan areas? Do you think
DVOS, I can't access that link because it's up behind Fox News.
Sort of like a puppet show to actually get the right people's attention on this stuff?
Maybe we will just start our own space and talk about MH370. This is just terrible.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
Blowback of it.
Yeah, like what is there a chance that all of this UFO stuff was just a kind of like hidden hand way to kind of like promote a actual important real issue? I have thought about that, but I think I initially perhaps thought that, but like the folks, some of the main folks here, I just no, I can't say that. I just their actions just both publicly and behind the scenes and privately
this is so terrible.
Don't speak to that. There are a lot of people with actual, real, selfish, dubious motivations involved in this. And it's, I'm going to say religion, but it's the same with every religion. You have, within that religion, you have your like power-hungry people who don't give a shit and they just want like
Pig
power
James?
and money. And then you have like
Respect
your group of true believers.
Hey, Arwen. Hey,
right?
Amanda.
And they're the ones like gripping the cross and like they're ready to go, to bat for Jesus. And you have like this dichotomy.
We've got total idiots and then we've got true believers.
This group of UFO believers, it's like the same thing. You've got like your power-hungry narcissists, and then you've got your like true, like real, honest-to-God believers. Like Eric Bard, for example, at Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, let's see what people want to do. You guys want to do your own space?
I spent an entire
just talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about.
He's someone who's he's just true believer, true. I don't see him playing any real games, whereas someone like Elizondo, in my opinion, just strikes me as someone who is trying to win, who's just trying to, that there are dubious motivations there. I think some of them have been established in my reporting, some perhaps in others' reportings. I mean, I see Jeremy McGowan on the space here. He's written his personal experiences. So I don't think so. I don't think there's some like secret ploy here. And in fact, I think the government, there is a cover up.
These people are the debunkers that are now saying there's a cover up.
I was talking to some UFO believers the other day, and I was like, look, we may not agree that it's aliens, but we can at least agree that there's a cover up to some degree. And
I can't believe Stephen
new.
Greenstreet right now.
I mean, that's nothing new. It's not like the military-industrial complex started suppressing and controlling information yesterday. That's just like what happens. But I personally believe that there has been a muddying of the waters with regards to
Antonia, appreciate
foreign
you.
adversaries, sometimes with impunity. Or
the debunkers are now saying that there's a cover-up.
Drones and balloons and other craft over American airspace, both the continental U.S. and our interests overseas.
Yeah, he literally just said that.
With little to no pushback or ability to push back. And this is scary stuff. Look at the Palo Verde nuclear facility in Arizona, swarms of drones capturing God knows what intel. And the facility had no counter UAS abilities. And there was this kind of confusion, like, wait, what do we do? What's going on? What are these things? Where did they come from? Nobody knows, and they're gone. And it's like, this has been going on off the coast of California. It's been going on everywhere. Is this China? Is this Russia? Is this, down by the Arizona border? Is it the cartel? Is it the cartel via
okay. Let's check out the other space for a couple minutes, and then if that's awful, I'll take a look and we'll just start our own. I can see a lot of people want to do our own space. We'll probably get booted out of this space.
Up front because I really, really want to participate, but I forgot I had an appointment for a massage, which I really need badly.
No, it's okay. I tell you, I screwed up my back today.
Does everybody in these spaces have a fucking soundboard?
God, man. I did have some questions I wanted to ask, and I talked to Carlos about this because I
think they're at an NBA game.
I do want to fight back, in a sense, in a very legal and a very appropriate way. The only comment I have for now, before I arrive at my appointment, is that
she's going to get a massage. It's middle of the night
because I know that when I read it, I'm going to be really mad, and I want to be ready to channel my energy with my application to the Law Review Journal because I'm going to use that anger in my application.
Okay.
And, I want to wait.
I don't even know what these people are even talking about.
Carlos can describe what that process is like if I have to hang up and go to my appointment, and I'm hoping that when I get out of my appointment you guys are still going. But
out of her appointment, where is she going? Is she going to a brothel?
Kirkpatrick would not survive.
It's 9:40 p.m. on the East Coast.
He would have gotten enough, and he would have gotten kicked out of school.
Nothing's open.
So
she's going to get a massage at this time.
The minimum level of analysis that's necessary to draw a conclusion based on what I've heard is completely absent.
Arwen, you don't know what a soundboard is?
Even for a scientist. And I am dead.
Oh, look, we got Nicholas in the chat.
I'm serious.
Huge douchebag, this guy, and his wife. Total fucking
journal,
losers.
I will be able
My
to
God.
publish citable documents that will be citable in a court of law for 2 years.
Can you guys?
2 years of fighting back.
Okay, I'm done with that. Okay. You guys remember that yesterday, or was that even yesterday, guys? This woman has a complete fucking meltdown when I call her by her first name, which is Carly Rae. She acts like I had just shot her or something. Like, she screeched like a harpy. Like, what was mentally wrong with this woman? Where she's sitting there gaslighting everybody for like 10 minutes straight. I joined the speaker panel and she's talking about how she doesn't want to be on the speaker panel because I'm on there. And I call out her fucking gaslighting, her and her disgusting husband, and call her by her, I address her by her name, her actual birth name, and she has a complete and total meltdown. Complete and total meltdown. And they act like I have gone and killed somebody, right? These are the same disgusting shitheads who are sitting here trying to say that I'm a crazy person and defaming me, and this Nicholas nutjob is like talking about me nonstop while having me blocked. And to them, the bigger egregious offense is to call them by their first name. These people have no connection to reality whatsoever. No connection. Nicholas and his wife, Carly Rae, the rest of these UFO people, whatever, they have no connection to reality, right? Like, the UFO community is an absolute shit show. It's really what it comes down to, right? Yeah, Ray was Carly Rae. I'm not going to say her last name so that she doesn't melt down anymore on me, because, people watch the streams or whatever, and they clip them and do all kinds of crap. But this is the problem with the internet in general, is that there's no accountability. These people don't want any accountability for the things that they say and the things that they do. They want to shit on other people, and they don't want anybody else to be able to shit on them back. And the moment that you do, they literally have nut job meltdowns. These are literally insane people. I mean this literally. They're literally mentally ill, and they actually need psychiatrists to help them out. Like most of the people in this community, unfortunately. And this is why nothing ever happens. Like every day it's like this. The embarrassment of it is that, like, even the streaming community, the video game community is not even this bad. Like, You've got, in the UFO community, you've got criminals, you've got psychopaths, you've got the worst shit out there, right? Man, it is disgusting, you know? And then for some reason, all these UFO celebrities latch on to these troll shitheads too. You know, like, I'm sick of all of them, man. They're all losers, and there's no surprise whatsoever. They've never accomplished anything, right? No surprise. So we're going to break through the bullshit. That's going to be what we do, because the reality is it's not productive, all this crap that they're doing, right? So, God, it's embarrassing, man. Anyway, I guess we're going to do our own space. Whatever. Here we go. I actually kind of need to get some food, but I guess I can just do that later tonight. So, whatever. I think we'll do our own space. We'll maybe just talk shit about all of them and talk about MH370 since it's the retirement day, and whatever else you guys want to talk about, AARO and all the other stuff. But yeah, the soundboards are like little buttons you press, and it plays like flushing sounds and fart sounds, and like all these losers have like their soundboards queued up because they're like 8 years old, right? It's, again, just complete embarrassment on all sides. Nobody in this community has any idea what the hell they're doing. You've got morons like Average Chris, who like he has obviously nothing going on in his life, like no job or anything, right? And he just spends all day tweeting at people and thinking that he's smarter than other people and like trying to save other people, which, I mean, my God, man. My God. And Lou Reviews, I mean, Lou Reviews is literally a failed actor who is now like a wannabe UFO community type person, right? And his takes are just egregiously bad, right? He has no concept of science. He can't even form a coherent sentence. He can't form a coherent argument. His arguments are, you didn't agree with what was said on the TV. Oh, you're a bad person. And just nothing but hypocrisy from these people. And then on the believer side, they just play fart sounds and and flushing sounds, right? And then they just scream at you and have their little clicks like they're wannabe mean girls. And of course, they all hate Keemstar because he's somebody coming in and saying, screw all this bullshit, right? And they all hate it because it threatens their little hierarchies that they've established. It's, my God, man. So let's go ahead and talk about the AARO stuff. We will look into the stuff that was posted today. We'll, I guess, talk about UFOlogy. I'll let anyone who wants to speak on the panel jump up or whatever. It'd be nice if some of you guys jump up. I mean, a bunch of you guys voted for our own space, so some of you guys better jump up on the panel. Otherwise, I'm just going to end it early. So I'm going to start my own space up right now. Hold on. First, I'm going to search for any other spaces that might be going on that we might have missed. How do I search for spaces? Doesn't even let me search on this. Okay, create your own space. UFO news and AARO report. Neutral space. I'm going to call it neutral space because some of the rest of this crap is just awful, man. What does allow incognito mean? Sure, you can allow incognito. Okay, we just started our own space chat. Here you go. I'm going to copy the link if you guys want to join. Let's see if we can get anybody to join our space here, chat. Oh, okay. We already got some people up in this business. Here we go. Taco Loco. Let's get Taco Loco up, chat. Let's get Taco Loco up. Let's see if Arwen wants to speak. You know, whoever wants to get up on this business. Oh, Arwen jumped up. Because we were trying to talk to Taco Loco before, right? T equals MC squared. Let's get you up. Anyone who wants to talk? Hey, everybody in the space right now. So if you were joining our stream and you saw us streaming, we decided to start our own space because I was jumping between the Stephen Greenstreet space and jumping between the Mike space, and both of them are just kind of garbage. And I actually want to talk about the stuff that matters related to this AARO revelation and what your guys' thoughts are. So here we are in this space. T equals MC squared, man. How's it going? Do you have anything to say?
Good. How you doing, Ashton? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great, man. How's it going?
Good. So I just that space that you were referencing the other day was probably the most psycho thing I've ever heard. I was sitting there and I was just listening, and I was like, I can go down to downtown Portland right now and probably find saner people than that station. But I wanted to just bring up one thing. I've never heard anybody talk about it, but it's actually like kind of crazy. Have you guys like either heard of or seen the 2003 Steven Spielberg produced miniseries called Taken? It was actually starring Dakota Fanning when she was like really little. And in the first episode, there's a crazy scene. It's like right out of the gate, the first episode, within the first 2 minutes, they have a plane being teleported by 4 orbs.
Yeah, I've seen it. It got posted on one of the Reddits early on, and people were loving it in general.
Okay, cool. So you've seen it. So real quick, like that was in 2003. I mean,
yeah.
Do you think that's like art imitating life or life imitating art? I mean, it just seems so similar to the kind of the videos and this whole conversation. I mean,
yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff like that, you know, and a lot of people are looking for meaning in stuff. And if anything, at best, what I would say is that, yeah, it's life imitating or art imitating life, right? And sometimes people say it's stuff like predictive programming in general, but I don't think people can really see the future. I think it's just a matter of what happens is that the science that's out there, people extrapolate on what could be possible, right? So people that are like TV producers, writers, et cetera, they look at the science that's publicly available and they extrapolate it to what it could mean. And that means that sometimes people do stuff that's never going to be scientifically accurate, but sometimes they do stuff that is scientifically accurate. And like you see in Taken, Lost, Manifest, all these other shows as well, like the idea of time travel is not some novel concept, right? The idea of having orbs out there, I mean, they're all over the place, right? Now, what that means with respect to MH370 and the videos, you know, I think that we just have to be cautious and not try to connect everything that's out there. It probably just means that people saw some videos.
I totally see that point,
yeah.
Right? It just seems like awfully coincidental that a plane on fire is literally teleported, right? Like the thing is literally smoking, right? It's almost like Steven Spielberg produced that thing. I mean, he's already got connections to the whole, you know, advanced technology, you know, UFO debates. I mean, maybe, and you know, to your points about the Philadelphia experiment on one of the streams that you did a couple weeks ago, you know, if this technology is a lot older than we originally maybe had thought, who knows who knew what when. But that's really all I wanted to bring up, just real quick. Thought I'd kick us off. I mean, you seem like you kind of want some speakers, so I thought I'd jump in.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you jumping in to speak. And yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that even going all the way back to, what was it, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind with Steven Spielberg, right? Like
yeah.
people definitely, I think, know some stuff, and they kind of profit off it, no matter if that's through the science, patents, or just through entertainment, right? And that's why I'm looking forward to that movie that's coming out, right? Called, was it The Three Body Problem? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I have a feeling there's going to be some weird stuff in there. And I always tell you guys everything that I can tell you until they put me under an NDA, which they still have not. So, like Interstellar as well, right? That was the first time I was introduced to time dilation. I didn't even know what time dilation was before then, right? And that's a movie that when I saw that, I went, holy shit, is that real? And you go look it up and you're like, oh, that is real, right? And you're like, wow, okay. Yeah. And you find out that like it was like Christopher Nolan, right? And he had talked to some scientists about like what black holes would really look like and what how the science should really work, right? And it makes you wonder, like, is he talking to like DoD contractors or like other government scientists, and that's how they know this stuff's real? It wouldn't surprise me at all, because the same thing's happening to me. Like right now, when we're talking about these videos, all of a sudden people want to talk to you and they want to be like, "Oh yeah, you're on it. Like this is it, right? This is how it really works in the real world." And so that's how the stuff leaks out there. And same with like the movie Tenet. What I'll say about the movie Tenet, you guys, if you guys have been watching my streams, like last week, we were sitting there trying to figure out, like, can you break causality? And I think the answer is like, you can't. But I've been talking to some of those same scientists that I've had on my podcast and stuff, and I'm sitting there like having private conversations with them, going like, can we actually break causality? Right? Because if you watch, like, especially the Salvatore Pais and Dave Rossi combined Hard Truths, they start talking about stuff like the Mandela effect. And when I was sitting there listening to it, I'm like, these guys are like pushing it too far into esoteric, right? And now I'm going, maybe not. Like, if you can move faster than the speed of light, like maybe string theory is the answer. Maybe we can somehow impact the past. And then the question is, like, what does retrocausality really mean? Does it mean that we will perceive that change? Like, was there really a cornucopia on Fruit of the Loom? I'm not sure, but we can chat about it, you guys. And anyone else who wants to jump up and chat, feel free. Go ahead.
A thought just came to me when you were just speaking there. I forget who it was, but somebody was talking about how, I think it was either dark energy or dark matter was the increasing complexity of the system, that it can't be seen but can be measured.
Yeah, that was Roy D. Herbert. So Roy D. Herbert has dilation theory, right? And the interesting thing about talking about Roy D. Herbert, and I'm actually planning on talking to Martin Gibson, who's his counterpart, who's on the math side, this weekend. I've just got to book it. I've just been, with all this stuff been going on, it's been crazy. But and I want to talk to him about his unification theory. But the thing I love about Roy D. Herbert is, so he's a theoretical physicist. And when we listen to these guys, you've got the theoretical physicists, and they're the ones who kind of conceptually understand how the universe works, right? And then you've got the engineers, and they look at the problems a little bit differently. The engineers are the ones that are going, okay, here's a floaty craft. Like, how do I make it float, right? And what do I have to do? And how do I verbally explain and mathematically explain the equations that will allow that to happen? And the physicists are the ones that are like trying to simplify it, trying to logically explain how to make it intuitive. So Roy D. Herbert, the thing I love about him is this idea that complexity can cause gravity, so that even on very, very small scales, like the quantum scales, the more complexity that we get, that causes like minute amount of gravity, but it kind of adds up. And that the more complexity, then this can account for dark matter, which is the stickiness in our galaxy. So the more complex even a galaxy would get, the more stickiness that you're going to have. I personally love that idea. I think that's a great unification theory. But I still don't know how it kind of fits in with what the engineers are saying, the Salvatore Paises and the Dave Rossis. But
that's totally fair. I guess I feel like there might be a connection between that concept and the concept of, like, the longer the string, the more complex.
Yep.
Those two things seem like they are awfully similar in concept, at least. But who the hell am I?
Yeah, and the people who are listening right now too, like, that's not the same as string theory, if you're curious. Like, string theory is more of the idea where if we can have some type of retrocausality, how would we prevent some of these paradoxes that can occur? And the answer is, well, you can have like these different string timelines or dimensions or whatever, right? Universes even, where it's like if you change the past, then you're basically branching off your universe into a separate universe, right? Which is, to me, that's hard to wrap my brain around, but I think that's kind of where some of this might be going.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I'll let others jump on, and we'll just leave you with a prediction. I don't think this space is going to devolve into name-calling and fart noises, so excited about that.
I hope not. I hope not. And we'll see how long we go. We'll just go until it gets boring.
Cool. Thanks, Ashton.
Yeah, thanks, T = MC squared, man. Appreciate you, buddy. Taco Loco, I know that you were trying to get into the speaker spot before we shut down yesterday. Did you want to jump on and say anything?
I was just going to mention that for people kind of new to this, and I'm sure there's a lot of them, there's there's a YouTube channel called the Beneficence TV, and they've got a couple of overview sort of sciencey videos that whip a lot of this, like Bob Grenier stuff, and some of the other stuff related to this. They kind of take you from zero to that and give a good overview. And I thought that would be something for people to look at. And, then the other thing that I would just say, apropos of all the crazy stuff as we flip this one rock over, that's MH370. I've kind of been studying this since I was a kid back in the 70s, and ended up having firsthand experience with some of this in the Navy. And when you get into the Philadelphia experiment, you watch some of those old Al Bielek videos and Duncan Cameron and the other guys involved. I mean, I understand what they're talking. And if it's not real, it's the greatest LARP ever. I mean, I don't understand exactly all the nuts and bolts on it, but they keep coming back to the same stuff that we're touching against, that we all came to from a completely different direction, be it either MH270 or like the free energy thing we've been working on for years with Bob Grenier, Pons and Fleischman on the cold fusion. You see all the fingerprints of the intelligence community trying to shut it down, and the same consistency, the sacred geometry pops up. The other thing I'll mention, and then I'm going to shut up, is think about think about Manhattan Project. Okay, that was about the atom bomb, and everyone's like, oh, the government can never keep a secret. Look at the atom, look at the Manhattan Project. Well, they did keep that secret until they didn't. And what else were they working on? These are the greatest minds up there. There's plenty of evidence that Oppenheimer was in on, the Area 51 stuff. And a lot of other guys, there's a guy named Sarbarker that was a peer of Oppenheimer's that said, oh, yeah, we've had him. We looked at him. We saw it. And then after the second time he reported, he died very mysteriously with some kind of goop on his car door handle. So there's just too many smoking guns out there. But as you get higher and higher into this stuff, it does get occult. And occult just means hidden. And I think people need to realize that before they reflexively go away from it. This is hidden physics. I mean, if you showed an iPhone to somebody 50 years ago, they'd think it was magic. Radio 100 years ago, whatever. Maybe a little more than 100.
Like germ theory, too, right? I mean...
Well, I'm not even going to open that can of worms. But,
no, I'm not saying that anything like COVID or anything, but 300 years ago, 200 years ago, you'd have to convince somebody that an invisible molecule or whatever, or series of compounds and molecules can make them sick and kill them.
Yeah, or not. I mean, that's the thing is we're still not talking. Back then, they were talking about the energetic aspect of it. I mean, we keep finding over and over with the MFMP that we've gone the hard way and slogged through and say, oh, this is the way the forces flow and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, my God, it's just like the picture on this palace wall from, 10,000 years ago. And it's like it's showing it. There's no way it's a coincidence. And when you think about it, it's like we're so materialist now. What does cause, they say, oh, well, this hormone does that or this germ does that. Well, what causes the cilia on the bacteria that's supposedly killing you to move? The whole energetic aspect is just something different.
Yeah, and so
Definitely.
Just to kind of bring it back to, I guess, what the space is called with the AARO report, right? So this AARO, which is the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office report, came out. I don't think that it included my report. I think that it was just stuff from before, but I will be curious to find out if it is or not. I still haven't got an email back. I did end up emailing the person who contacted me about a few days ago, and they came out and said, oh, there's nothing anomalous going on. We looked into everything. We have access to everything, and we found that there's no aliens going on here, and it's just they're getting confused between U.S. classified information, right? And I don't really know how to take this in general because I know that there is actually advanced technology that they're hiding. So you could say that you could interpret this as, okay, we don't have any proof that there's aliens or alien crafts, right? But that doesn't mean there's not advanced technology, because obviously there is going to be secret technology. It's just a matter of how advanced is it. And I'm sitting here saying it's so advanced that we can teleport objects, and we just don't know, right? But I think the other part of it is that they clearly don't have access to third-party contractors. I know for an absolute fact that there are defense contractors and engineers and scientists that are going to labs that are run by these third-party DoD contractors. They have to sign NDAs when they go in there. These AARO would have no access to them whatsoever, and that they would have no idea what those people are working on, right? If we theoretically had, let's say, Roswell, 1947, gotten a UFO, and we gave it to the third-party contractors, then AARO is not going to have any idea about it. So this is the part where it's like, I don't know what to make of this report in general, but it just feels like bullshit no matter how you look at it, because of that, like that view on it, right? They don't have access to the things that they need to have access to figure it out. So
It's also
here's
a
your guys' thoughts.
conflict
Go
of
ahead.
interest, right? I mean, you're trusting them to investigate themselves.
Yeah, I don't trust the government to
never
investigate
work,
themselves at all,
right? Like,
right?
I mean, they have no incentive to share the accurate information, even if they were, they did have it, which, to your point, they probably don't.
And look at it this way. Like, let's go back to the Manhattan Project, right? If it was 1944 and we were demanding that the government review and tell us about the advanced technology they have, is that government agency going to come out and say, yeah, we just made nukes, guys? No, they're not going to say that because they need to drop it to win a war, right? It's the most classified information that's out there. They're never going to admit it until they drop the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? And the Philadelphia experiment happened in 1943, which was 2 years before we dropped the bomb, right? So if they have some kind of weapon that is well beyond what a nuclear weapon is, some kind of doomsday weapon or technology that's equivalent to that, right? They're not going to admit that. And they're certainly not going to admit where it came from either. So this is the part where I look at it and I go, this is just kind of circus and peanuts for the masses, right? To keep people entertained. What are you guys' thoughts? Prefontaine, I see you in there too as well. Do you have something you want to speak up? And since we don't have many speakers, you guys can just feel free to just chime on in whenever you want to. Otherwise, I'll just opine.
I don't even know why they would even release this report. I don't know how anyone would even take this serious at all. It just seems like I hate the word psyop because it's used so often in so many bad contexts in this conversation. Not just this one, but all of the ufology. But it just seems like it's just the whole thing is a waste of time. You're really just trusting that the offender is going to investigate themselves. And then, I think to someone's point earlier, it might have been my brother or whatever. On the one side, they're coming out with the 2017 video saying, "Oh, they're real," right? These are real valid UFOs. And then they come out now and they're like, "Oh, there's no evidence of a cover up." It's like, well, those videos didn't stream real time, so somebody decided to suppress them for some amount of time, and that's well known that they suppressed those videos as well as probably hundreds of others.
Yeah, what are we supposed to think that we're looking at in that video? We're definitely not looking at a jet flying away like Mick West is saying, right? Like, I don't need advanced computer models and the weird stuff that he's doing to know that I'm not looking at the engines of a jet in that video, right? It's obviously something that doesn't have standard propulsion mechanisms. It's obviously rotating, not consistent with the clouds rotating. Is this a drone from China? Like, I just don't get what they want us to believe in some of this stuff. And this is the part too where what I want to say to everybody out there, whether or not you are on the believer or the skeptic side, like, they are never going to admit that this stuff is real, right? They're never going to disclose this technology is the sad state. And I know a lot of people here are supporters and what have you, but there's a lot of haters out there. And what I would say to the haters too is that this should hopefully prove that the MH370 stuff was not distracting from anything else. There was nothing getting accomplished, right? Like, it's just more obfuscation, more denials of the stuff that's out there. And if anything, like, this report, in my opinion, sets stuff back because this hurts like the normie brain people out there. Because they're going to go, oh, nope, this report came out that said there's nothing out there, nothing special, right? It's going to get misinterpreted as like, nope, there's nothing special at all about there, nothing hidden, when it doesn't necessarily mean that.
I mean, they also leaked a flying jellyfish like a month ago.
What even is that? I still don't even know what the hell that thing is, man.
Dude, I don't know. All I know is it's a pretty lame version of War of the Worlds. But
it's not scary to me at all, but it's weird looking.
Not. It didn't scare me. I mean, I guess maybe up close if it was like trying to like capture me in a pen or something. But I just don't. I think they're just trying to
let's
sow
check out Right.
confusion and chaos, right? And like so that nobody knows what to believe, and so that stories like MH370, where MH370 is the best example of a situation where you actually have verifiable information, right? Everything else is like, oh, I saw an orb in the sky, right? Uh-oh. Like, this video is this thing was turning. Great. It was moving fast. Or was it? MH370 is verifiable, like, to your point. Yeah, I mean, your evidence,
Yeah, there's stuff you can look into, right? And this is why, like, I want to get an email back from them because, okay, either somebody was impersonating AARO and the military, which I just think is very unlikely, but there's a lot of psychopaths out there, or like I gave them verifiable evidence. And the guy claimed to me, just like in the AARO report, that he had access where he could talk to the NRO and the Navy and what have you and validate whether or not, like, we have satellite video and stuff that looks like that, right? And that's exactly the kind of evidence that they should use. Like, that's why when I see this report, it makes me think of the debunkers, where it's like they just ignore all the stuff they can't address, and then they just like cherry pick on certain parts that they want to debunk, right? Like, that's what it makes me think. So I hope that they email me back, because I emailed them back and was like, hey, man, I gave you a bunch of verifiable evidence. I hope your next report doesn't have a bunch of bullshit in it. And this isn't exactly what I said, of course, but but that's the idea, is like, I gave you the evidence. I showed you orbs that are floating around. I told you which companies you need to talk to. I gave you General Joseph Dunford's name. I gave you the names of the leaker. It's like, this is a lot of verifiable evidence, man. So I don't know. I guess we'll see on that front. Real
It'll
quick.
be interesting
Oh,
to
go
see
ahead.
that you've been making an attempt to verify it on an itemized basis.
Yeah, I want them to come back and make a statement one way or another, right? I want them to reply and be like, yes, we got in touch with the AARO or the NRO, and yes or no, we don't have those satellite kind of capabilities, right? It's a little bit worrisome to me that they haven't come back to me yet, because it makes me wonder if, like, that answer is yes, we do, and we don't have a good response to you, right? But yeah, it's just me kind of speculating.
Yep.
Real quick, Red Panda, hey, welcome up, buddy. I thought we were having a Skyfire news space tonight, but I guess you guys did the one earlier that was really long, so probably didn't have one tonight then instead. So I decided to do one.
Yeah, I
How
think
you
we might
doing?
do something more fun a little bit later. Yeah, we did we did like 4 hours, 5 hours on this thing earlier, and obviously it's been a huge day, right? Everything's breaking. We're just
Yeah.
super busy today. But yeah, the report is kind of trash. Totally think. And in our earlier space, we would go through a super deep dive. Like, there was just a lot of kind of inaccuracies, and it's basically just kind of like the Wikipedia version of American UFO history, just kind of saying like, oh, Blue Book investigated things, and it was all fake. They don't no acknowledgement that like throughout all those early programs, Project Sign, Project Grudge, Project Blue Book, there's like people along the entire step of the way who's saying it's like a cover up. There was disinfo, no addressing that Hynek kind of came out and said that, the chief scientific advisor, some of these other people.
What about
Yeah,
the?
I mean, it's kind of
I
as
saw
expected,
somebody
though.
claim that Mike Herrera has been, that they like confirmed that he had given a statement by, like, they were able to match the facts up. Did anyone talk about that?
Yeah, we did see, and that was another interesting thing too, is because there's been this debate back and forth of like Arrow getting ghosted or ghosting certain whistleblowers or people giving testimony, and then at the end, a little like section where it doesn't name the people, but like if you're a super UFO nerd, you could kind of tell who they're talking about, of different people who came in. So yeah, there's Michael Herrera. If you like deduce like from what the report says, he's in there. Same with Bob Jacobs, the man who claims he saw the Vandenberg UFO, which is kind of in the news again a few weeks ago. Robert Salas, I think you could read his part in there too. This other, the Maelstrom Air Force
They had
UFO
Robert
incident.
Salas's thing. Isn't that a long time ago?
Yeah, that is a long time ago, but it does show that at least, I don't know, at least they did also kind of just like debunk those. But actually, if you listen earlier too, that was one of the interesting things was they listed a bunch of these different testimonies, right? And on some of them they would say Arrow investigated this and like it's not true. But some of them they didn't do that, and they left it kind of open ended, and they even said like in part 2 of our report we're going to be addressing these. So, but they did they did list some. What they didn't list, which was interesting, was I don't think there was anything in the report about the 2004 Tic Tac or the 2015 Gimbal Go Fast, which is kind of like insane that they didn't include anything to at least address those or debunk those or anything. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, let me address that because somebody linked to me Ryan Graves' post from about an hour and a half ago. And he says, in the actual report, the Pentagon again acknowledges that there are anomalous objects in our airspace demonstrating concerning performance characteristics. For example, the UFO videos, the 2004 Nimitz and the 2015 Gimbal and Go Fast experienced by a squadron remain completely unexplained, and the Pentagon has no new update on this mystery. The Pentagon is unable to determine whether or not these advanced UAP are foreign, just as the former director of AARO is calling advanced UAP a potential national security crisis. Now, to me, this is interesting because it brings up that same point I was just bringing up, which is like, is this China? Is this Russia? Are these aliens? My personal opinion is that I think that a lot of this stuff is actually human technology, but I don't really believe that we've magically got floating orbs and stuff like this without having some help. But that's what I would want the AARO to come out there and tell us, right? And they're obfuscating that. And now when normal people like my parents and what have you read this stuff, they're going to go, okay, there's definitely no aliens. There's definitely nothing magical going on, right? But as Ryan Graves points out, they didn't even look at like the two most prominent situations that were declassified in 2017, 2018. It's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, totally right. Those are the cases, those are the videos that kind of got everything started. So to not address those is insane. And I got to agree with Lou Elizondo tonight. You know, some of the things he was saying are totally true. Like all these other foreign governments are really moving along with their UFO stuff. Japan, Brazil come to mind, Mexico, and for the DoD and the Pentagon to put this out is just very weird. But I'm also like pretty curious to see what happens next. I mean, I don't know if you saw like Lou Elizondo's cryptic QAnon tweet where he's like, "The storm is coming. It's always quietest before the dawn," and all this stuff. I'm curious to see what they have up their sleeve, because he was also, I don't know if you covered this, he was also kind of like super slighted. You're kind of newer around here, but like a big point of debate these past few years has been like, was ATIP a real program or not? And because that was kind of the 2017 story that broke everything, like it was really presented that way. And over the years, through some reporting of like Green Street and some of these Pentagon statements from like Susan Go, it was this like back and forth of like Elizondo obviously saying like ATIP was a real program, blah blah blah, and then the other end saying like ATIP wasn't an official program. It was more of just kind of like a hobby amongst UFO enthusiasts within the DoD. And today that report kind of called him out and basically saying that like ATIP was never an official program. It was just a collection of people very interested in UFOs within the DoD. And yeah, and it's funny, even today on his statement, he made an emphasis to like sign it as like Lou Elizondo, the director of ATIP. So he's probably definitely worked up. I'm curious to see what him and Mellon and the pro-disclosure people do, like I said, given his recent tweet of like the storm's coming and whatnot.
Yeah, that's wild, man. Like, I still have no freaking clue what's going on with this ATIP thing, right? People are going like it was a body, but it was named something else. And like, knowing the government, like, I can't even tell still what's real on it. And I actually was asking people on both sides, and people are just talking past each other. From my sources, my understanding is that, Lou's a regular guy. He's got his own self-interest, right? And his, from his position, if you look at it, like he kind of put his neck on the line to come out and be a public figure like anybody who does in this space. And, he's got to set himself up to be able to make a living, especially if he's can't be in the military. I don't even actually know exactly what his job is at the moment. So from that perspective, I definitely respect him, but it's super confusing. And it almost felt like he was taking a play out of my playbook where like when I was, this is my retirement day from MH370 investigation, but I would put out these daily kind of update posts that people really liked. And I'm going to read Lou Elizondo's thing here because it feels like exactly one of these kind of motivational speeches, that I would put out there early on in the investigation. It says, "Friends, it's always most quiet before the storm. There's no going back. Some members of Congress finally know what's going on. Some officials in the executive branch are scrambling. Efforts are underway below the wave tops, the results of which will break the surface and reveal themselves at the time of our choosing. This is going to be an interesting year for those following, or for those who continue to obfuscate. We are hard at work for you. That's I don't know. Like, the thing for me is, like, this seems like one of those messages where it's like, if you have some information, you just post it, right? You don't need to obfuscate about this kind of stuff, you know? And this is where, like, my post today about Edward C. Lin, the reason why Edward C. Lin is my hero is that if he is the guy that leaked the MH370 videos, which I'm very certain that he is, then that's a real hero, right? That's somebody who's like, not only am I going to come forward, but I'm going to drop hard evidence, right? And people aren't going to believe it, but I'm going to drop it. I'm going to force that conversation forward. As opposed to this, like, I have secret information about a 23-minute video, but I can't really talk about it at all because I'll go to prison about it, right? But it's like, someone's just got to say it, you know, and go to jail and then have people rally around them and try to get that evidence out. Because otherwise, like, it's too easy for them to, and them being the government, to just be like, nope, this is all made up, this is all fake, whatever, right? Like, that's just my opinion. Anyone else have any thoughts? Feel free to just jump in.
Yeah, I'm glad that he did say that. I'll just get this out real quick. I'm glad that he did say that, right? I'm glad there's something going on. But it is almost kind of like an insult, right, to the everyday UFO nerd or whatever, that his whole, like, at a time of our choosing, right? It's like, that just this whole, like, it's a trust me, bro, right? It's I have info,
Yeah.
and I get that he's, like, saying it to Kirkpatrick and the DOD, but he's also saying it to, like, the average person, and it's just kind of, I don't like that energy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Terrestrial ice cream scoops. What's up?
What's up, buddy? What's up, dude? I'm looking through this AARO report right now, and yeah, I mean, it does kind of put, like, Elizondo and everybody's back against the wall pretty far, but at the same time, it's like, dude, where are the documents from AARO? Like, when you read this stuff that's in here, this is the former military member signed an MFR attesting the truthfulness of his account. Why are we not getting documents from them, though, either? This is all just kind of trust me, bro, on their side, too. Am I wrong? Like, is anyone else seeing, like, any actual documents from them, or no?
Yeah, and that actually, again, like, I must have been talking to an AARO person, because they were literally saying the same stuff to me on the phone about this. Like, he's literally, the guy I remember vividly is telling me, like, nope, it's all balloons. We've confirmed that it's all, you know, there's all totally normal stuff. And I'm sitting there telling him, like, well, okay, I'm about to show you some crazy floating orbs. You better go check this shit out. And yeah, it is kind of trust me, bro, on their side, right? Like, I don't know if they've got, like, the debunker mentality or what it is, but my personal opinion is, if there was nothing here to this at all, then it wouldn't even be a thing. There wouldn't even be a UFOlogy, right? Now, whether or not that means there's aliens visiting us from the Xenu or Andromeda galaxy, I think that's a different story, right? But, like, there's something going on here. And if everybody's just saying, oh, nope, nothing to see here, right? Then it doesn't really get us any further. Anybody else has got thoughts? Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, I know they were talking over in Green Street Space, and they're saying, you know, this has been 7 years, wonder why it's been taking them so long. And I'd say, well, because even some of the smartest people in the world are going to take their time on how they're going to approach this thing, man. I mean, for me, AARO has been just the ultimate answer for them to get the toothpaste back in the tube. I mean, look at the community. I don't see a single document in here that's actually proof of anything. And these people are just eating this up. It's really wild. Like, look, I'm not on a team. If Grush and everybody's full of shit, then they're out, dude. But at the exact same time, I'm requiring documents from both sides. I don't give a shit if it's the Pentagon. I don't care about that. I'm not taking trust me, bro, from fucking anybody, dude. This is really strange to me.
Yeah, and I haven't read it yet because I was busy playing video games all day, just having a good time and enjoying my my supposed retirement from that Mystery
I'm
7
playing games too in the meantime, but yeah.
But I'll take a look at that later because I do want to try to see, like, how bullshit this report is in general. And I was on Stephen Greenstreet's space earlier, and I jumped really quickly into the late group space, and, like, nobody's really talking about anything that really matters. Like, it was weird to me when I was listening to the Stephen Greenstreet space where they're, like, almost like flipping the script now, going like, oh, well, there must be something hidden from us, right? And I'm just sitting here going, I'm just showing you guys crazy advanced technology on 2 videos and you're shitting all over me. And now you're going to flip the script and go, and these are the debunkers are going, no, they're all, making this stuff up and profiting off it. And now they're going, oh, yeah, of course the government's hiding some stuff from us. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me?
I mean, you know why though, Ashton. I mean, they got to extend the content, bro. I mean, at the end of the day, with the way that a lot of these guys are talking, like, I don't know what they're doing in the field anymore tomorrow then. Like, because to them, it's like, it's so weird, dude. On one hand, they'll sit there and say, it's nothing, rip UFOs. It's like, okay, well, so you're not going to be here tomorrow then, right? Because you got your answer, but they're still going to be here tomorrow. So I don't understand it. It's the weirdest thing. I'm not telling them that they shouldn't be here. I'm just simply saying it's very weird that you would talk so certainly that you have the answer, but then show up the next day. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah, we saw that with the MH370 investigation too, where it was like people were debunking it and they were like, oh, it's fake now. I'm like, okay, well, you can go away. And then it never would go away, right? And now we're kind of seeing some of that same stuff here too, where it's like, well, you got the answer you wanted. There it is. You're satisfied, right? Nope. By now I've got to change the narrative, right? Seems sketchy. I don't know exactly what it means. I'm like you. Like, I don't know. I'm not committed to any particular answer. But from what I've been told by the very smart engineers and scientists, that these people are not like just making up stories out there. At least in my opinion, I don't think they are. But again, that is kind of a trust me bro situation. Like, David Grush is going and talking to billionaires and stuff because and these private meetings that he's doing because he doesn't care what the peasants like us really think, right? He doesn't care what the debunkers think. He's going out there talking to the money people, the people that are like, oh, we can invest and we can do some advanced technology and stuff that's out there. And that's what I want you guys to know is that because I'm somebody who doesn't have an NDA, like I don't want to break anybody's trust that I've talked to, but there are several companies at all the different aspects of the type of technology. Think of all the implications of the stuff that I've been talking about, anti-gravity, over unity, superconductivity, all of these things, cold fusion. There are companies out there that are working on these things, right? And there are big money investors putting money into them because they know that stuff can work, right? So just keep that in mind. Terrestrial, any other thoughts?
Yeah, last one would be kind of what I stated when I came in here, dude, which is this dude Grush and them need to go ahead and do something, bro. Like this is like way too far on the other side of the scale. The scale's way too tipped right now. If these guys have anything, like who's going to really listen to them past like 6 more months, bro? Like if you really want to know the truth of what's going on and you really want to pull your bias out, how much longer are you going to wait for these guys to sit around and say, yeah, we got it, but we're just waiting? Dude, come on.
Well, what do you want to see them do, Terrestrial?
I want Grush to go ahead and put the emails out, put the op-ed and put the emails out that Kirkpatrick didn't talk to him. Like they've got to do something, dude. Like Elizondo's tweet where he's talking about, the calm before the storm. I don't think Elizondo's paying attention. There is a storm. There is no calm right now. Twitter and the UFO community's fucking up in arms, dude. Everybody's pissed off. Like there's no calm. And the reality of it is that they're losing ground very fast. And so there's not a whole lot of more room for them to continue to make these predictions. It's at the point to me where it's like every time I hear a prediction from Elizondo, I'm like, fuck, nothing's coming now. It's like I think something's coming until he talks. And then that's backwards. It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, and that's the part too where I totally agree with this idea that now like this is like a shot across the bow, right? The people that are on the UFO disclosure side like have to shoot back now, right? This is AARO.
100%, bro. They can't keep sitting on their hands for 6 months, bro. There's no way at this point.
And that's the scary part too, is like, what do they, because I think that what Red Panda asked is also a good question, and we can open this up to the floor as well, is like, what would you guys like to see them to do? Because coming just back with stories probably isn't enough anymore, right? They already told their stories. David Grush said he saw that he knows about bodies and crafts, right? Luazondo's talked about some of this stuff, like, and then AARO came back and said, nope, there's nothing at all, right? So it's like, ooh, what's the counterplay here, right? And before you guys jump in, what I would say is that, like, this is an information war. This is a propaganda war, right? Everybody's kind of playing their cards the way that they can. And then the question is, okay, what's the counterplay now? How do we get it back to the, okay, yes, we do know about some crazy stuff. What do you guys think? Go ahead and jump in or raise your hand, whatever you want. Star Captain, go ahead.
So they specifically don't cover like personal stories and stuff like that. I did look through some parts of it. I think the value in it that we can look at is that there's some programs that they've talked about in there that might correspond to some sightings, but it doesn't account for all of the sightings. It just might be able to say that, you know, this one in this year might have been this program if it was in this area, right? So you might be able to use it for that extent, but I don't think it, you know, shoots everything down. It's just what they had access to, and there's still more data out there that they haven't covered, but it is a chunk of data that has some value. It's not a complete set of data of all the data that's out there. It's just what they were able to find, and their perspective on that may have been biased against it in that, but it is a collection of data nonetheless. And I think, you know, because of that bias being there, it should be looked at in that light. And you know, it has that value accordingly. But it's not the do-all, end-all answer. There's certainly a lot more out there that they did not look at. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, and so, and real quick, if I drop you down to speaker, it's not personal. I'm just trying to give other people up as well. And if you want to talk, go ahead and request as well, and I'll try to shift people up and down, and Red Panda can assist. But that's a really good point that Star Captain brought up, which is absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, right? So just because they say, oh, we didn't find anything, doesn't mean that there's not anything out there at all. Right. And that's kind of the trick when you kind of have to read between the lines probably on some of this, especially when we're looking at this report that's out there, because, you know, whatever that we have to be careful of what they say and also what they don't say as well. So that would be what I would say. Keep in mind on this. And I'll probably take a look at it this weekend, guys, and maybe give my feedback. But I was just trying to chill a little bit today. UAP Michael, do you want to jump in? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I can't help but laugh at this shit. I mean, we live in an absolute clown world. You have the Pentagon sitting here. They can't even account for trillions of dollars, and they're here saying, nothing to see here, guys. Look the other way, right? And I don't know. You asked what my thoughts were, but you half the time you ask for it, you're already speaking what I'm thinking. So what I'll say is I joined that Green Street space. You got Average Chris, you fucking Lou Reviews, and Area 503 as speakers. They're not letting anyone else up. If only you knew what I knew. Unbelievable. I mean, this is insane.
Yeah, and it's just it kind of goes to like. God,
but yeah, I mean, it's a slap in the face to disclosure. It's a slap in the face to Dave Grush. It's a slap in the face to all of us and all the experiencers. I have nothing else to say. I mean, it's a clown world.
It really is a clown fucking world, man. And, you know, I hate swearing, but it is. And I don't like jerking Keemstar off, but, you know, Keemstar, Skyfire News, Red Panda, Tupa, the fact that these guys are, like, in the middle and impartial and everybody hates them for it, like, that's what this community obviously needs. You have, like, competing spaces going on where, like, neither side is talking to each other, too. Nothing's getting accomplished. Nothing's getting resolved. One side doesn't want to let the other side speak. Everybody's trying to exclude everybody else from the conversation, right? And then you've got the Pentagon the whole time going, like, yep, we go ahead and prove that we did this report and there's nothing to see here. And like you said, the trillions of dollars that never passed an audit. Right? And we're supposed to believe that, oh yeah, there's no advanced technology going on, that we've been doing nothing since the 40s, right? Like, absolutely bullshit, man. I mean, I know for a fact that there's people going to labs and working on technology that we would deem magic, and having to sign NDAs to get into those labs every day they go into the lab, put their phone in Faraday cages. That's not because there's nothing bad, there's nothing special going on, right? It's basic logic. I don't know, man. This community, it's wild, but it is entertaining at least. So, go ahead.
It is. If you and if anyone's wondering what I have against Chris, it's literally that he thinks that there's literally no disinformation campaign. There's no like active cover up here, and just for him to be the speaker up on the top of the space, even having an opinion on this is hilarious to me.
Yeah, and I think it's
Chris is the disinformation campaign, right? About that vaccine stuff. Lou Reviews didn't play the full clip on his show. I can't even listen to Lou Reviews anymore, honestly, after that, because I was just so dishonest and stuff. What he did the other day, and like, yeah, I can only imagine the circle jerk that's happening over there.
It's a lot of bad faith. That's the issue, right? It's a big, and I don't think these people are necessarily being paid or directed by the government like directly, and that's the scariest part to me. Is it would be less scary if some of these people were actually being directed by the government. Instead, like, they're just taking it upon themselves from their own weird issues and savior complexes that they have to correct everybody else. And in order to do that, they have no problem pushing disinformation and misinformation and propaganda against the other side. And that's the part where I'm like, oh shit. Like, this is one of the things I've realized in the last 6 months is like, it's not all disinformation operatives out there. It's just normal people acting like psychopaths, right? And that makes this really, really difficult to get to the truth. Because like some of you guys, I want to be like, oh, this person's a disinformation op and this person's not. But it's unfortunately, I think, more complicated than that.
Might be like a protection mechanism.
Yeah, I mean, for me, man, like, I never expected the Pentagon or AARO or any of these programs to tell us the truth, bro. But I just really expected that they would lie to me better. Like, show me some documents, make me give you a little bit of credibility, dude. Don't trust me, bro, and then blame everybody else for being trust me, bro, too. It's the only thing that's frustrating. I just want some evidence, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think that a lot of people in here know that there's some sketchy stuff going on. Like, you can just walk around every day and you see other humans and you go, consciousness itself, we can't even explain. We can't even explain why we exist, right? So the problem I have with people like UFO Chris and Lula Reviews and some of them as well is that they think there's nothing special about our lives and our reality, right? And we know that there's something else, something more to that that's going on. And I don't know if it's necessarily that there are beings from another dimension or another galaxy visiting us, but to think that we are at the pinnacle of all science and advancement right now in 2024 seems like the height of human hubris to me and ego, right? Like, clearly there's going to be more stuff to unlock. I mean, just look at the superconductivity news. Tomorrow, I'm going to post like 4 different articles that I've just been sitting on, where I think Brian Rommel already beat me to like several of them. But like, room temperature superconductivity is coming. Like, I'm sure that's a discovery that's about to happen, and it's going to change everything about our planet. And they're talking about, I think, the MIT, they use room temperature they call it high temperature superconductors, which is just another fancy word for room temperature superconductors, to actually create cold fusion or to create fusion power, right? Like, this is all the stuff that we're talking about. This is the stuff that we literally need in order to have UFOs and stuff exist. So, any follow-up on that? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me up. Hey, I was curious on everyone's ideas or thoughts about what happens if, as far as physics, we break, like, we tap into a more abundant energy source like 0-point energy, or use fusion, or be able to conduct electricity with zero resistance. What happens to, like, kind of our social economic system if that's the case? How do you monetize something that's abundant if there's no scarcity-based economics?
Yeah, that's the crazy part, right? And what I know and what I can prove are 2 different things. I know there's over unity out there, and already people selling devices just like that to very rich people for lots of money, right? Some of these people in their bunkers that you guys see getting built are probably have over unity devices in them, right? That are very, very expensive, more than probably a car costs. But that it's out there, right? Because some people out there know. And this is what happens with the science, is that it seems like what the government wants is they want some of it to just leak out naturally and slow drip it out, right? And they don't want it to get pushed out there too hard. So if anybody comes out and says, here's my over unity device, then in comes the suppression, in comes the disinformation, in comes the discrediting. We're going to take all your contracts away from you, et cetera, right? Now, your point is great. It's like, what does that mean to our socioeconomic status? What does that mean to our way of life? What does that mean to our fossil fuel based economies, right? They're going to change for sure. And this is where, like, I didn't believe in stuff like the deep state before this. And now, like, it's hard for me not to say stuff like the deep state, because you have this enriched elite class that not are just politicians, but some career bureaucrats, some career scientists. They keep it in the family, right? And they know that some of this technology is real because there's some of the scientists that are working on it. And then they own the patents, right? And then those patents get licensed out to companies. And then they make tons and tons of money on it. It's like, it's an enriched group of power elites that are keeping and enshrining the power into themselves. I mean, to me, it's a crime against humanity. But what do you guys think on that? And then we'll go to Investigate Earth.
Yeah, Ashton?
Hey, NC boy, is that you?
Hello, yes, Kevin here from the UK.
Hey.
So yes, not to get too political, but yeah, I think my thoughts. Free energy, it'll never be, it'll never be available to us minions. As you say, hydrocarbons. It rules the economy really globally, doesn't it? And it's much like Gillette bought the patent to ceramic razor blades probably about 40 years ago because they were, ceramic razor blades don't blunt, so of course they bought that out. It's in a safe somewhere, so it protects their livelihood, doesn't it? And it's much the same with energy. So the tech that they have, it'll never be available to us masses unless they can tax it. It's much like in this country they've moved from cigarettes to vaping. They couldn't tax the battery and they couldn't tax the liquids that go into it, the vaping liquids, because that was a food product. But slowly, the EU are now finding a way to tax us, But anyway, enough about politics. Other than just to say, this is all about splitting the left and the right, and then the right again and again and again and again. It's diminishing the army, it's diminishing the counterforce. But anyway, on your last day, I just want to say thank you, Ashton. You've been a great insight to myself. My skills, and to me, I think that there hasn't been enough questioning to Hewlett Packard, who are now known as Agilent, who are now known as Keysight. Now they've digressed into communications, fusion, all those kind of systems, and they had stuff on board. And me personally, I do believe there wasn't enough questions from the investigators and the official aviation safety report about their cargo. They've either caused the descent of the plane and tried to cover it up by spoofing the data, because they make software for Inmarsat and they make hardware for Inmarsat. So if they didn't want the plane found, thinking it did go in the sea, they'll be the ones who would do it, thinking that they'd downed the plane. So again, just a big thank you, Ashton. I hope this isn't the last of you. This is just one play from the forces who rule us. So I look forward to your next adventures.
Yeah, thanks, NC Boy. I don't know if we've ever spoken directly like that, but it was good to hear from you and hear your accent. I love it. A couple aspects on it. I think I'll start from the beginning of what you just mentioned as well, which is that they'll never potentially let us have access to this. But if you think about the razor blade situation that you brought up as well, I actually went and bought some razors recently at the Target. And there was the new brand. I can't remember what it's called, but like there are ways to render them obsolete, right? Where now you come in as your own brand, and I can't remember, it was like Men's Club or something like that, right? And now they're selling their
Harry's probably.
Yeah.
I know
So,
what you're talking about.
but that's the idea, though, right? Is like you come in with your own thing and you undercut them, right? You hit them at a different angle of attack from a marketing perspective or whatever, right? And that's the way that you can beat that, right? And that's what I want to do, honestly, just to be blunt with you guys.
Or perhaps
right?
there's a paradox there.
Yeah, maybe there's a way,
it needs
right?
to be open.
And this is where we have to be crafty.
Open source and
I see.
giving
Go ahead.
things of higher value than material gain. You know what I mean? Like different value alignments, and maybe that's something that humanity has to go through.
And I had seen Jenny in here.
It doesn't seem like any different from any other technological advancement, right? I mean, yes, the impact's going to be very extreme, but any technological advancement is going to have, consequences, right? You're going to have short-term turmoil to be able to reap long-term massive gains due to free energy, right? I mean, if to go back to the 0 point, energy concept, right? Like you can't fight that. That's just the march of history.
Yeah, no, it's a discovery.
Yeah,
right?
I think
maybe there's a paradox.
I think it depends, man. I mean, when you look at the weaponization possibilities of this technology, dude, you're talking about something that's way far beyond like any kind of WMD. And I wonder, after the Manhattan Project and after we dropped those bombs in Japan, they realized that, wow, we just used a weapon and exposed technology that we have no defense of. That was probably a bad idea. That the next time we're not going to do that. And I'm wondering if this whole time, if you're going to get an actual end to the cover up, it's because they finally have a defense for it.
Yeah, it absolutely could be. And again, with respect to the technology and stuff out there, I think that we have to be crafty. I had seen Jenny in here before, who I've done a lot of spaces with, Jake Chansley on, and he has a lot of really good insights. It actually impresses me every time I talk to him. But One of the things that he mentioned about like how we beat this deep state or whatever you want to call it that knows about this technology is now we know what they have, right? And we have to be cunning. We have to look for their weakness. We have to exploit it. Maybe their weakness is that we can undercut them in the market. Maybe we can find out, since we know that over unity is possible, that the vacuum energy of space-time can be tapped into. You know, we can figure it out ourselves, and then we can bring the products to market without their permission, right? Like screw them, you know, and stuff like that.
You can't wait. I hear like, when are they going to let us have it?
Yes.
Right. We can't have, there is going to be no let us have it. You have to take it. I mean, you have to kind of do it yourself, like you're saying.
Exactly.
Ashton. I mean,
and so the other thing I want to say real quick to NC Boy's thing. First of all, thank you very much, NC Boy. You've done a huge amount of investigative research, Kevin, I think your name was. And I just want to thank you for that in general. MH370 is not going away. I posted a little music video thing that I made as well. And I made a Reddit post today about it. And the Reddit post, I mentioned that the world's just simply not ready for this, right? But if you are one of the people that's ready, you shouldn't be disheartened by this. What you should look at it is as an opportunity. Is that if you know that we have this extra dimension in our reality that we can tap into the 0 point energy of space-time, that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity for investment. That's an opportunity for invention. That's an opportunity for marketing. It's an opportunity to look at your life and look at reality in another way as well. So I think that that's how we should look at it. And we should look at it as the rest of the world is going to slowly catch up to us. And this is why, like, I've positioned myself and made various proclamations about what I think will happen with technology, so that if that stuff does happen, people will be like, oh, is this guy a soothsayer? No, I just talked to the people that knew the stuff way ahead of time, right? And that's how the world really works, is that the truth is buried out there, and the people, the normie people and what you see on social media, they're way behind, right? They don't know the real truth. And so that's what I think is great about the people that are in here and people having these productive conversations. Now, real quick, I want to go to Investigate Earth because I think it's either Chad. It's probably Chad that's had his hand up there. Hey, how's it going, man? You want to tap into anything that we've been talking about here? Or just be quiet. It's super awkward. That's fine. Okay, well, if Chad's not ready to go, we'll go to Noah.
I was going to say, hey, Ashton, thanks for the time, brother. I'm going to go back to doing some gaming. I'm just going to listen, dude. So
awesome, man. Appreciate you, dude.
Thanks
it's been fun talking to you on Alien Addict, too, man.
No, I think Terrestrial had a good point, too, and, like, being careful how technology is used and having the responsibility for it. I think that there's an aspect to that for sure.
Yeah, and then just for the record, for people who are out there, because it is the day I said I was going to retire from the case in general. There's a couple more podcasts that I kind of promised to people that are going to still happen, but I'm not going to be putting out any more original investigative work from this point forward. I think I'm planning on doing one more to just wrap up like what I think happened to the plane in general that I'll probably push out tomorrow. But what I want to be doing is just like stuff like this.
I'm here, by the way.
Oh, sweet. Chad, we'll get to you in just a sec. Yeah, I just want to be talking to like people like you guys about what the implications of all this stuff are, pushing the conversation forward, right? Not really digging into that much drama, although sometimes I do enjoy some of that drama that goes on. You guys know and you guys have listened. But the bigger things too are like how we can try to talk about the stuff that will help change the planet, right? And that's what I love about the people in this space is I think that probably like 95% of the people in this space want to like know about what can we do to really change things, actually impact stuff. So go ahead, Chad. Sorry.
Oh, you're good, man. Yeah. So when you called on me, this screen appeared and it said your account is locked, which is strange.
Oh, the feds are coming for you.
Then I had to go through some stuff. I have no idea, but either way.
That's because of your State of the Union response yesterday. They know about you.
Well, no, literally, as soon as I retweeted this space and I said UFO community or UFO Twitter, UFO X, and then it said my account was locked. It was weird. Anyway, I'm not sure, but I'm able to talk. Yeah, some of the stuff you guys were talking about earlier. I mean, if we talk about UFO Twitter, right, in a whole, and the groups and all that stuff, with the podcast, a lot of stuff we talk about is corruption, government corruption, deep state. We also obviously have talked about UFOs a lot. But, we also always talk about division, right? And so the best way the deep state / bureaucrats / government control the people is to divide. You've always heard the statement divide and conquer.
And most people think that is just, yeah, that makes sense. But in reality, that's what they do. The reason I'm bringing this up is because really UFO Twitter has went toxic in a lot of ways, really since Dave Grush, right? So since Dave Grush came around, he started speaking obviously in Congress. That's when I saw UFO Twitter just go to toxicity. And part of the reason, and part of the reason why divide and conquer works is, for example, the Nazca mummies, or Nazca, however you want to call them. But the mummies, if you actually want like real disclosure, I believe anyway, I think these mummies they found in Peru, and what they call the Nazca mummies, they recently did a DNA test where it showed the DNA is not linked to humans or primates. It is an unknown source of DNA. They cannot pinpoint what the DNA actually is. And this is being done. Then you also have doctors that are analyzing skeletal x-rays of these actual creatures. Not only were they not put together or paper mache, which is what mainstream media, when the whole story came out, they're like, oh, these are paper mache. It went viral across UFO Twitter. And then a lot of people just kind of forgot about it. And then they just start arguing about, what report, is Dave Grush correct? Is he not? But the reality is catastrophic disclosure, which means, people are really about to realize that we are not the only species. I think that's happening. I think it's currently happening in Peru. I think it's happening in Mexico. I think it all surrounds Nazca mummies. And you have doctors saying that not only is the skeletal remains intact and they have not been manipulated, but they also, doctors have talked about the fact that the way these bone structures are and what they connect to and how they connect, and are three fingers, 3 toes, also the elongated skulls plus very long not legs, but very long feet. Everything points to these things are actual alien bodies of some kind. We don't know, but we know that it's not human DNA and it's not animal DNA. So all I'm saying is that divide and conquer really works, because the biggest story really in the UFO community should be this, at the very least. If you want to go historical value, you want to go science value, that is something that everyone should be talking about, and they're not, which is crazy.
Yeah, and so I actually have a pretty fun story about that, which was that I forget which one of you pinged me into the fact that there's like a thing going on the 12th in LA, I think, about the mummies, another presentation that's out there. And the person that, not the person that pinged me, but the person who made the post was like, oh, I don't want any influencers to be involved in this or whatever. Or specifically didn't want me. And I kind of laughed at it, because from what I've kind of discovered with this is that people are definitely, if they're not going to take the videos that we've been presenting seriously, like everything that's out there has been debunked, right? Like we're not going to move the needle on this. Like if they were willing to go ahead and claim that this was like chicken parts and paper mache and all the stuff they said about the NASCAR mummies, whatever you guys want to call them, I'm joking. It's unfortunately that even if I actually think there's a pretty good possibility that those bodies are just completely legit, and that's non-human intelligence, right? That we found some bodies on our planet. If there are aliens visiting us, then you would think that we must find some of their bodies out there, right? But no one's going to take it seriously. That's the sad part. Even so, because that's just the state of our civilization right now, is that it's not even a matter, and this is just my personal opinion from what I've uncovered, is that it's not a matter of proving things to be real or not. It's a matter of waking people up, right? And so it's not a situation where like you're going to go and have a bunch of scientists show up and say, yep, here's some aliens, blah, blah, blah. Even if they literally had real aliens doing that, people still wouldn't believe it, right? I think that the people that are doing that presentation do not realize what they're up against in general. And that's what I told that person. I was like, look, I'm just an influencer with 80,000 followers who can help push the information out there, right? And I'll do it if I think it's credible, right? But if you're pushing people away that have huge followers who can help and assist you, and you don't realize that the whole thing's just a big information war, then you're never going to be successful, even if your claims are 100% valid. That's the sad part, unfortunately. Any follow up on that, Chad?
I was also told that, Ashton.
Oh, go ahead.
They're pulling a Susan Go. The mummies are, bro. They're only having their select media, and it's like, we're here trying to help.
Oh, that's gonna just not work at all, right?
influencers.
Yeah, and I don't know what their thought process is behind that, but like, that's not how you get the information out there. Like the way when MH370 was most successful was in late November when this huge ramp up had built in, and then Kim.com gets involved, and then we have this bounty, and it was a big information where we were pulling like 100 million impressions a week, right? And somebody posted and sent me stuff from like TikTok, where one, I think it was Matt Kim's TikTok video of me going on his podcast, had 41 million views, right? And this is impressions that are bigger than CNN, right? Bigger than mainstream media. That's what you need. You need to have a huge amount of just support and views and eyeballs on it so that you're waking people up out there. It's not a matter of, oh, yes, we had 5 scientists that did these MRI tests on it or whatever the diagnostic tests they do on them, right? It's just, even if it's 100% valid, it's not going to wake people up, sadly. And I know that seems kind of defeatist, but I think that the more we realize the nature of that, the more that we can help. And so when you look at stuff like LK99 and metamaterials that can be high temperature superconductors, this is what I said in the space about that, is we cannot let it get suppressed, right? We need to keep talking about it. The same way the weird, creepy letter to Ashton Forbes says, you talk about it and you don't stop talking, right? I would say the same thing for the mummies, same thing for any topic you guys want that you really believe in, talk about it.
You think that there's a possibility of like self-suppression through keeping things closed behind NDAs and shit like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that most of it's self-suppression. That's the saddest part, is that I think that if we were more open-minded and critical thinking as a species, I think all this stuff could have come out decades and decades ago. I truly believe that even the technology for even teleporting stuff might be decades old, right? And if it's really that old, it's just us hurting ourselves. It's not even, government doesn't even have to do anything. Government just has to sit back and then put out stupid reports that say like, nope, nothing can be possible. It's just like, it's just kind of like stirring the pot, right? They don't even have to actively involve themselves. And to me, that's the scariest part, because it means that we are very far away from ever achieving true disclosure. And that's just, again, my opinion. Noah, hey, how's it going, man?
Hey man, Ashton, thank you for taking me on the space, and a lot of familiar names and faces I don't speak often on here, so I'm honored. But hey, there's Moneypenny investigating Earth, really cool. You guys are amazing, Ashton, amazing work. Just real quick, 2 questions. My first question is regarding one of your posts you put up of a mini clip or an edited clip of several snippets of people back in the day investigating the disappearance of MH370. And I noticed that there were a lot of very popular at the time journalists on big mainstream outlets like CNN and The Bunch investigating the claim that there was no other way for the plane to have disappeared other than for it to be taken. And I did take your suggestion, and I'm buying that Florence DeChaney book. I really haven't had the time to tear into it quite yet, but just the writing style and the photos are fascinating. I can't wait to dig into it. So my question was, have you looked into other of these other journalists? Because like you've already said before, there's no way that an investigation like this big can ever really leave your psyche. It's always going to be a part of you. So my question was, have you tried reaching out to any of these journalists from back in the day and getting any more possible leads from any of their sort? You know what I'm trying to ask, that question.
Yeah, and so I think that what you're talking about is that music video that I made, which I'm kind of proud of. It took me a little bit of effort, and I thought about it for like over a week in terms of what I was going to clip together for it, and what song I was going to use and all this stuff. And this is the part where, we saw Sarah reply to Sarah Bach, I think is how you pronounce her name. She was the girlfriend of Philip Wood, right?
Particularly, yes.
And yeah, she was sitting there, and she went and did the most media appearances, and she's sitting there just literally saying she thinks the plane was taken, right? And that the families don't believe the narratives that are out there, which is pretty incredible. And I replied to one of her posts. I actually haven't checked my email today to see if she responded back to me. But I felt brave enough to send her an email as well. But I don't know how she's going to take it. Like, again, a lot of this stuff is more than what people are willing to believe and being willing to accept. But people that are out there, especially some of these investigative journalists, and if you dig in and talk to read Florence's book, a lot of what you'll find is a lot of the evidence is the same evidence that we've uncovered. And she's a logical person. She came to the same conclusion we did, which is that if there's no debris field, then the plane didn't crash, right? It's really that simple. And that's hard for a lot of people to understand. But then there's a lot of other, most of the investigators out there, and I've reached out to as many as I could reach out to tell you the truth. But I would say like 90% of them believe in the Inmarsat pings, and their whole basis for their theories are based on the Inmarsat pings. And if their theories are based on the Inmarsat pings, and those pings are not accurate, then that throws those theories just completely to shreds, right? And the problem with the Inmarsat pings was twofold. One, there was no debris field. They found nothing along the arcs where those Inmarsat pings say the plane crashed, right? At some point, if you're playing a game and you just keep losing over and over again, you got to think that maybe there's something wrong with your strategy, right? But it's 10 years later and these people are still dying on their hill of these Inmarsat pings. And the second part is that the debris that they did find, and I wish I had uncovered this earlier, but the debris that they did find is completely inconsistent with the plane crashing in the South Indian Ocean. Some of debris should have washed up in Australia. Stuff like the engine cowling, which is just like, imagine like, not quite like a piece of paper, but like a flimsy kind of thing. That is never going to float 3,000 miles in a year. Never going to float that far, right? It should have washed up in Australia. Instead, it's showing up in South Africa, 3,000 miles away from where they claim that the plane crashed, right? No debris washes up in Australia at all. At some point, these people got to like rethink their theories, but the problem is that they get too tied to them. So Florence Changi is one of the good ones, in my opinion. If you read her book, you'll find that a lot of the conclusions are similar to us. The only difference there is that she didn't have the videos. She didn't have the science knowledge of talking to the engineers and stuff that we have, crazy advanced technology that we think is out there. But yeah, so from that perspective, yeah, we reached out to them. And I think that that's why, like, again, just stepping away from the case is the best move here. It's not that we're giving up. We're just shifting gears, because what would be required for people to realize it is A, more time. They're never going to find that plane in the South Indian Ocean. And then B, to understand some of these scientific concepts like room temperature superconductivity, over unity, free energy, fusion power, and then one day, I think, macroscopic phase conjugation, like literal teleportation of an object. And when that day comes, I think people will believe it, but we'll see. Good questions. Noah, any follow-up on that before we go to Moneypenny?
I just wanted to say that what you're doing now is very commendable, and moving on to other subjects, and also conducting experiments, because you're right. This is the way that we're going to, or that you or whoever is working on this is going to have to force the action forward. We're in a perilous time, in my nothing opinion. I believe that the time for disclosure is now. It has to be now. We were stuck in an information prison. And the thing about prison is that you have limited resources, but you get very, very creative. I think you're doing a marvelous job. Not to get too political, but anybody who sets themselves on fire for any kind of a cause means that there is something deathly wrong in the world, no matter the things you believe. And to just discount these people as crazy, well, there's all kinds of crazy people in the world, and they don't set themselves on fire. The only time you ever see this is when the world is on a razor's edge. And we all know that there is something super wrong with the world. The world is sick. So if we're going to kill ourselves, I want all the cards on the table. I don't want the nuclear bomb to kill us. If we decide to take ourselves out with the advanced technology and the UFOs, then so be it. But I want all cards on the table, and I think that the way forward is through mutual respect and moving forward and using this technology for good. We're at that time right now. The time is now.
Yeah.
Anyways, everybody, thanks for listening, and you have a great night. I love listening to you guys. You
Thanks,
guys are
Noah.
amazing.
Appreciate
And
it.
any support for projects that people want to do in these spaces and stuff, like experiments, you know, mathematicians, engineers, I think it'd be great. It'd be a great thing to, like, what is that? Where you crowdfund for something? I don't know. I'm new to all this, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think you made a great point too about when people are lighting themselves on fire, and this is a reference to the guy that was like the Free Palestine, burnt himself to a crisp, right? And people are going, "Oh, well, he's crazy." Well, it's not that simple. It's that the world is fucked up right now. It's so fucked up right now. And there's so much gaslighting and propaganda. This is the damage that it causes to people, is that you tell people that the sky is green and the sky is blue, right? And you keep repeating it to people. And at some point, people start to freak out about it, you know? And this is the same issue that we have. And I think that, unfortunately, you cannot disconnect it from politics. I wish you could. One of the things that I found in the UFO community, too, is that there's this political line in UFO community where, you know, if you're not left wing, then I've got 50 people blocking me over it. And if I'm not right wing, then you've got people, you know, doing some similar stuff as well. Now, right now, my opinion is that because the left wing in the United States is in power and they're the ones that control, you know, probably most of the media right now, is that they're the ones that kind of have more influence on what people think. But I don't think it's strictly one party's issue or the other. You know, I look back at the early 2000s when you had the Bush administration and they're talking about yellow cake uranium and we got to invade Saddam Hussein. It was the same bullshit. And you're the same people going, yeah, we got to invade Iraq, blah, 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 right? And it was just all gaslighting, right? It's all lies and gaslighting. These kinds of distortions cause real damage to people and real damage to their psyche. And I think, I don't know what the answer is out there, but that's where you've got to break through and we've got to at least agree. Like, we can all have our own opinions, right? But the facts, you know, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but you're not entitled to your own facts. Same kind of situation. So great point on that, Noah. Real quick, we'll go to Moneypenny in a second. I want to read a few headlines from the AARO follow-up because I presume that all the mainstream media were the ones who were invited to this AARO thing. I don't know that for a fact, but I know it's true. And so CNN, U.S. military developing portable UFO detection kits as Pentagon says no evidence of alien technology found. I don't know what the hell a portable UFO detection kit is, but it sounds like a scam. BBC says U.S. says UFO sightings likely secret military tests. Okay, maybe there's some orbs. I don't know. Jerusalem Post says UFO sightings in the 1960s were secret aerospace tests, according to the Pentagon report. I don't know how this is supposed to comfort anybody. That was a long time ago. New York Times, Pentagon review finds no evidence of alien cover-up. I'm just going to go ahead and call bullshit on that. NBC News, no evidence that U.S. covered up existence of UFOs, Pentagon report says. Again, I don't believe it. Politico, U.S. once considered a program to reverse engineer alien spacecraft, Pentagon report reveals. Now, that one kind of goes against the grain of all the rest. Another political one, though, says, oh, no, that's the same one again. And then Washington Post says, Pentagon finds no evidence of alien visits or hidden spacecraft. Now, the problem I have with these narratives is that I watched the Jesse Michaels, Eric Weinstein, and Hal Puthoff interview. And Hal Puthoff, who's maybe one of the oldest, most tenured engineers, electrical engineer, tied to the government, tied to potentially the CIA and DOD, literally says they set up the system to make it impossible to find out from FOIA requests, right? They set it up so they would go to the third-party defense contractors, the Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, Bigelow Aerospace, Battelle Institute, all of these people, right? And they would be impossible to get information. So when AARO is just checking into the government organizations, they don't have any power to look into the third-party contractors. It doesn't give me a lot of faith. Anyway, Moneypenny, go ahead.
Hi there. Sorry, it's quite late. I was just dropping off. The information that came out today in the UK and Europe on MH370 on its 10th anniversary, plus the information that you just run through, smacks so hard of the biggest bloody distraction block. It is just shattering. our newspaper headlines today. I don't know if you've seen all this. Presumably you have. Let me just read you a couple of them. Daily Mail, MH370 flight documents show extra fuel and oxygen added at the last minute, proving pilot knew what was going to happen. Then you've got The Sun, not necessarily a newspaper, more of a comic, but bombshell, MH370 docs prove, in capital letters, pilot planned to make jet vanish forever after last minute changes to doomed flight. And it continues in that vein. MH370 shows extra fuel loaded onto flight. That's the Express, the Mirror. It's in every single national newspaper. It's on every single news channel here. And all the reports say that the remnants that were found, all the bits that were found, were confirmed, definitely belonged to the airplane. So there's the biggest cover-up campaign I've ever seen on the same day that all that stuff happened in the States with the Arco stuff, and the same day that is the anniversary, which is the one day that journalists can actually make some room in their newspapers to do something that has happened 10 years ago, because otherwise they would never ever consider writing something this small. But it is just so desperate and shows to me they're bloody terrified. So well done, because I think you've brought this back to people's attention, and I think they're shitting themselves.
Yeah, thanks, Moneypenny. And since we will talk about that just for a second. I mean, it is the 10-year anniversary, and so for one, of course, this is where all the headlines come out, right? And I'm not even convinced they're going to do another search, even though you see headlines that say they're definitely going to do another search as well, right? Because they talk about it when it's the 10-year anniversary because it's it draws clicks, but doesn't necessarily mean anything. I saw that one about the extra fuel and the extra oxygen somehow meaning that the pilot meant to be, that proves that it's a pilot suicide. This is the most absurd thing ever. This is where people just have to think critically. If it's a pilot suicide scenario, they don't need extra fuel or oxygen. They're just going to crash the plane, right? This idea that it's some covert mission to fly as long as possible in a high pressure suicide situation where anything could go wrong at any moment is absolutely insane. If anything, I would argue that proves there's some kind of hijacking or covert espionage scenario, right? Where you need that extra fuel because you got to get to, I don't know, Diego Garcia or some other base, right? Somewhere that's really far away. It's wild.
Something to it. It's this trench that is very, very deep that he was going to apparently try and dive the plane into to hide it.
The guy's killing himself. Why does he care about hiding the plane? It's absurd to me that people run with these kind of theories and they don't really think it through, right? Especially when you just look at the Germanwings guy who literally did this scenario the next year. He locks the pilot out and crashes the plane in 9 minutes from its cruising altitude. Immediately descends and flies into a mountain, right? That's what suicidal people do. They don't go, oh, I'm going to roll the dice and try to knock everybody out, even though that they have oxygen masks that can last for 30 minutes to automatically deploy, and bet and pray they don't get into the cockpit somehow, right? Through the various different means. There's override means. The panels break out when the oxygen doesn't equalize in the plane. They can go through the electronics bay and disable the doors. It's just it's wild to me. But the other thing too is just in terms of the narratives out there, I do hope they keep searching. That's actually the number one thing I want them to do is keep searching for the plane. Because if they keep searching for the plane and keep not finding the plane, then people are really going to begin to ask questions about it, right? And unfortunately, I think that when you look at all those news articles, at least about MH370, I think it proves what Putin told Tucker Carlson, which is that, the Five Eyes countries, the UK, United States, Australia, and I don't know what the other two are, probably Germany and another one, they control all the world's media, right? And nobody else can compete with that. They have full propaganda control. They're not talking to me about this stuff. Most of them didn't even bring up the orb situation and the videos in general. I think I saw one article from Australia and I asked them to correct it because they bring up Jonas DeRoe, a guy who didn't even want to be involved, and they won't bring up and even name drop me. I spoke to Florence DeChangi. I speak to her pretty frequently, and even she got nixed from the BBC because she's also implicated in the United States government. And her theory is either it went to Vietnam or shot down, but she knows that it didn't crash somewhere where there was no debris field. And they didn't even let her on the BBC. So if they're not letting her theories go on there, they're definitely definitely not going to be letting us talk about some orbs teleporting the plane, but pretty crazy. Any follow-up with that, Money Penny, before we go on to the next thing?
You might want to listen to the interview I've just done with Tony Arterson and the guys. I know they interviewed you as well. They interviewed me. We did a lot of quantum stuff, but the interview started touching on questions that they really should have been asking you and not me, because I just sort of blah, blah, through it and said, ask him.
You know the 1MDB stuff, though, pretty well, which is also pretty wild. Like, and it wouldn't surprise me if there was a connection there, right?
I suppose the only interesting thing was they said, what proof do we actually have about the lithium batteries being on board? And I said, well, presumably it was on the cargo, like the passenger list. You'd have a cargo list, and you'd probably have a security thing as well. And they said, well, what realistic hard evidence do you have other than something written down on a piece of paper? I didn't know the answer to that.
Yeah, the waybills got released. I think there was a Straits Times article about them, how they were not scanned. But the Malaysian airline CEO also admitted it on March 20th, which was a week after he had said that there was nothing dangerous in the cargo bays. Because the first thing people ask is, like, what do you got in the cargo bay, right? Like, well, this plane just went missing. Which, to me, that's super suspicious. So, yeah, we know that there was lithium-ion batteries with a high degree of certainty on board that plane for sure. Craig, I know that, I don't know if you maybe can't put your hand up, but do you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah. Hi, Ashton. Again, what I'd like to talk about tonight, and just real briefly, there's one hero that I'd like to shout out for. That's a Phil Wood. You got to imagine what this man went through. Now, like I said, I only have one good friend. He's coming by tomorrow and take me pick up my Jaguar. But he was on Diego Garcia. He said, my friend, you are not getting a phone call off that atoll. And he goes, you want my opinion? What happened to that poor gentleman? He goes, he did get that call, made that call from Diego Garcia. He goes, and I researched myself, the lifespan of an iPhone 5 is 9.75 days on standby. And he said, tragically, when we put that hood on, it never comes off because it's for our benefit and their benefit. He said that poor man, somewhere in that time, his body was transported someplace, and it made a call. So that's my hero, and he's American, and people do not give that man enough recognition. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thanks, Craig. It's pretty damn dark, man. I think, and I think this is something I told Sarah as well, because that was her boyfriend, right? Is that I like to hold out and be optimistic that somehow some of those people survived, but from what I've heard from the scientists and engineers, is like no chance, right? I mean, you've got to survive depressurization where they're flying low and get enough oxygen to breathe. You've got to survive toxic smoke spewing throughout the plane. You've got to survive some macroscopic phase conjugation event, which who knows, maybe you come out like the fly man on the other side, right? And then after all that, if you somehow survive all of that and you're still yourself when you get on the other side, then you got to survive the U.S. military in a CIA black site, right? Like where the hood doesn't come off, like you just said. I mean, the odds are not looking great, no matter how you shake it. The best case scenario would be that they gave him a new identity and put him in witness protection and told him he's never going to talk to anybody he ever knew ever again, right? That's the best case scenario. So I agree with you. I think that all the passengers, especially Philip Wood, the American adult passenger, are all heroes, made a giant sacrifice. And I think that in the future, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, people will look back at that and go, those people did make a sacrifice. They sacrificed their lives so that we could have true disclosure and no bullshit about, though we don't know anything anomalous happening out there. There's nothing special going on in the world, right? When we figure out unification theories of quantum and macro and they finally make their way to the public sphere, and we've got magic technology, right? That's where people will look back at that and go, man, those people, they really were collateral damage. They took the hit. They were heroes. So were the people that leaked the videos, everything. So great comments, Craig. Jay, I saw you come up as well. I don't know if maybe you can't put your hand up, but do you want to say anything?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, how's it going?
Yeah, I was wondering if you have any thoughts on the hum phenomenon. I've experienced it myself a couple times, and I know a lot of the investigation you've been doing has been into like electromagnetism and different like historical records of like phenomenons like this. Is there any thoughts that you have on this?
No, I'm not sure about the hum phenomenon. Is that just when you hear a certain hum so every so often, or I mean, you can go ahead and tell us about it a little bit if you want, briefly.
Yeah, like so I experienced it last night. I just came across like that people experience this a lot, like not just me. And so like last night I was outside and I heard this loud humming sound, and it sounded like kind of like thunder, but I was looking it up and I really didn't think it was thunder. And I looked up the weather report, no clouds, no no rain activity. So ultimately I came to the conclusion like this is something different, and it sounded mechanical, but all the conventional explanations really don't make sense to me. All these experts say that it's something mechanical going on like in your neighborhood, or something maybe to do with auditory issues, but you can look up videos online. It's pretty absurd.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know much about it in general. One thing I do know is that like younger people can hear frequencies that older people can't, and I actually remember that too when I was younger, where I could like tell if the TV was on downstairs. Not I couldn't hear the TV, but you could hear this like buzzing noise. And if the universe is all frequencies and waves, which I think that it probably is in general, then I guess it wouldn't surprise me if you have stuff like that. That is possible. But unfortunately, I don't have any insights on any of that in general. But you could research it, I think, and look into it and find out if there's anything to it. I would say that like don't. One thing that I've learned in general is like I don't know where the line between reality and fiction even is anymore, right? And I try to keep myself as grounded as possible and just not try to freak myself out as much. One thing that I'll tell you guys is that I am potentially planning about doing one of these like ghost hunting experiences where you go to like a haunted place, and I'm actually really afraid I'm going to freak myself out because the mind is probably one of the most powerful things that we have. And you can convince yourself of stuff that isn't really there just through the power of your mind. And that's what scares me more than anything. It's like I can imagine myself going to one of these like haunted like prisons or something like that, and then just convincing myself that I'm seeing something that's not even really there, and just freaking myself out. So if I do, it'll be entertaining for you guys, but it can be very scary. So what I would say is that I'm not saying that what you're experiencing is not real. I think that experiences are very powerful,
Yeah.
but just try to keep yourself grounded as much as you can, and yeah, look into it and see, and see if other people are experiencing it around you as well.
Can I also tell a quick anecdote
Sure.
of some? Yeah. So I remember this experience, or like I've had this experience multiple times when I was younger. I used to like get home from school really late, and I would like after track practice, I would be super tired, and I'd be watching like a hockey game, like NHL. I'd fall asleep on the couch, and I would be in this weird state when I wake up that the game would still be on, and all the players, the way they move, they would be like on 1.5 times speed. And I don't know if it had to do with like it's a weird experience with time, like how you can experience like time differently in like different states of consciousness. I don't know, it seems.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that with us. Nathaniel, I saw you put your hand up. What do you have to say, sir?
Hey there. I just I had another point, but I wanted to corroborate Jay's thing, not with a personal anecdote, but just with the phenomena being called the Taos hum. I think Stephen Greer even spoke about it and said that it might be underground drilling equipment creating a kind of a resonance in the bedrock. That's in the Taos scenario, but there's also videos out there of this kind of like Cloverfield trumpet thing that's you can hear from the sky in many different locations. And I think it would be interesting to investigate because it could be a knock-on effect of an advanced technology, perhaps something atmospheric. And anyway, I just wanted to give that data point.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, there's a lot of I don't know if they call it high strangeness or whatever stuff that's out there in general. And the reality is I don't know how much of it's true or not, but I do think that our experiences are definitely very powerful. Couple last people, and I think we'll probably close out here. I'm gonna try to get some late night food. Sandy, did you have anything you want to say? I know you've been up speaker for a while up here. I appreciate you've been following along, hanging out with us. Or Antonia, either of you guys. You don't have to speak if you don't want to.
Can I speak?
Sure, go ahead.
I wanted to address that other letter to you, Mr. Forbes. It came
Oh,
in
don't call me
between
Mr. Forbes.
them.
That's my dad. You just call me Ashton.
Okay, but it's disrespectful. That's all. And
I know.
think
I know. I'm
highly
just
of
messing with
it.
you.
Yeah, there was another letter to Ashton in between there that I believe you might have even been perusing it on one of your streams or your podcast, and it mentioned thermodynamics. It was posted by oh God,
It's not the Nico Bar one, is it?
yeah, the Nico Bar one.
Yeah, I listened to that one. That is pretty neat to me. I'm 99.9% sure that was somebody who thought that it would be easy to create one of those videos. Who thought
Yeah.
that, because I listened to it and it was the robotic voice was super bad. It was very clearly like AI produced. And that's the thing about language learning models, LLMs with AIs, right? Is that AIs just borrow information from somewhere else and then they like summarize it. And it's kind of like when you look at stuff that's like obviously CGI where you can tell there's something wrong with it. It's the same thing with some of those language learning models. So when I listened to that, I couldn't even get through 30 seconds of it because I could tell right away that it was AI produced.
They added the word thermodynamic company into that, and I've never even brought that to my attention prior to that. And the one thing I will not beat this drum to death, but that British administrative elite paper, if you look at the date, it is March 4th, 2014. If you put that name and that date next to your letter to Ashton, I mean, if you're in trouble with the law and you're within 3 feet of something, it's yours. You're in trouble, you know. So
Yeah.
it's pretty close. I mean, it's might be some weak sauce, but it's right there. And I'm perplexed by the date that it said it all happened on a Friday.
Yeah, I can't speak too much about that.
Okay,
I appreciate
know,
your
buddy,
I
it's a
appreciate your
long
comments
night.
though.
Enjoy the martinis. Hey, do you drink? What do you drink? A Stoli, a beef eater, or what are you?
Everyone wants to know which is my favorite vodka. I
No
do like
endorsement. No endorsement. I understand.
no, I like Grey Goose, but it's more expensive than the other one. So usually it's just Kettle One, but I like Tito's a lot as well. So
Keep a bottle of Stoli in your fridge. That's the best thing.
appreciate you, Craig.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, man. I think we'll just do two last people here. Prefontaine, I saw you jump up several times. Was there something you were trying to get in and say? If not, we can go over to Wes. I saw you just jump up as well. Did you have any comments you wanted to add? Okay, well, if not, then I think we're probably just going to close out here. We talked a little bit about the AARO. Oh, go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Mike was muted.
You're good.
First time ever doing this. Thanks for the journey, brother. It's really been amazing to follow you doing this. I'm really taken by the video that the real creepy dude or organization or whatever put up about the whatever site that has the scary thing, the operation happening on it, that is generating some sort of apparently top secret aluminum micro element for which I can imagine a variety of really nefarious purposes at a time when stuff's being sprayed, the ionosphere is being weaponized, and planes are disappearing. And I'm wondering if they're, and to say nothing of the Randall Carlson tangent. So I found those videos to be surprisingly provocative and indicative of somebody who I think has put quite a bit of thought into something.
Yeah.
And I'm just one guy with no stake in any of this. I've just been fascinated by those videos. I keep watching them, but particularly the thing about this super scary tech that's being produced in a clandestine place under great pressure and discomfort to people and consequences, and then freaky shit happening in the atmosphere left and right.
Is that the
at a
glitter
time
one
like
you're talking
this.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah, the glitter one, the weird part is like I didn't even know what dendrimers were. And then it's talking about like them producing some kind of delivery mechanism for drugs that can just be like, delivered through like an aerosol format, right? And that was just that one was really weird, honestly. Because the glitter conspiracy is like a real conspiracy, and apparently like the biggest producer or purchaser of glitter is like the military. And there's only actually two glitter companies that are both in New Jersey. So a lot of that was just very unusual to me. My true opinion is that I think that those other videos were sandwiched in there. Like if you're trying to send somebody a message and you want to do it in an anonymous way, like that's a really good way to do it, where you have these Miami aliens videos, right? And then there would think there was one about like the New York tunnels, right? And then it's like the letter dash in Forbes. And then it does the glitter, at like a 2-part on the glitter and a 2-part on the Chan Thomas stuff. I didn't know about any of this stuff, which is the weird part. And then it just goes dark, right? So I honestly have no idea, but I'm with you. Like a lot of thought went into those at the minimum, right? And that's why, at least with the letter dash and Forbes, still the creepiest thing that's ever happened in my whole life. It's definitely either a stalker that knew the case extremely well, that knew Randall Carlson and Malcolm Bendel really well, or it was an intelligence community play by a foreign adversary or our own government, or maybe it was really just real or partially real, right? Like somebody who's throwing some real stuff in there and some stuff in there to just throw people off.
Well, imagine you're somebody sitting on a nugget or two of information that's really relevant, but you don't know how to try and disseminate it in any way that's going to move the needle. And then you show up, and then this person goes, "Whoa, hey, check, hey, Ashton, hi. Weird way to introduce myself. Here I am." And then over the course of these videos, it goes to this place, and I don't know. I've just been reading about this, whatever the hell it is that they're spraying in the sky, and watching, and they, the patents that the government's registered, talking about the weaponization of the ionosphere, and all of a sudden there's high tech chaff glitter being produced in a weird ass facility, and planes are disappearing. I would be surprised if there isn't some reasonably close connection between the two, but maybe that's just my conspiracy theory optimism. I don't know, but in any event, thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
No, I think that the way to approach it, and this is truly the way I approach it, is that I had the same thought process that's pretty damn weird. And I thought I saw that stuff about the ionosphere as well. I'm going, that's also super weird. But I try not to take it too seriously until I have really hard evidence for it, right? But you always keep it in the back of your mind, right? Because it is a little bit too weird to just completely ignore. And like you said, it's a really good way where if there's this person getting a lot of internet traction, right? And you've got some information that you want to get out there, that you want people talking about, it's a good way to kind of latch onto some of that. But it's hard when you don't have like a chain of custody over where it's coming from, and someone could be easily be lying to you, to take it too seriously. But again, yeah, I think that it's the kind of thing that you always want to keep in the back of your mind. And then if something else comes out in the future that corroborates it, you go, oh, I remember that, right? And that's why I started doing what I've been doing, which is, I keep my own repository of articles and things related to various topics. And I've been doing that for several years now. And then when the MH370 stuff came around, that was a really good opportunity to be doing that. And then it became its own thing. It became MH370X. So, that's what I would urge you guys to do as well, is that when you find those videos like that, when you find articles that corroborate that, make a folder, make a Discord server, make a channel, save the stuff in there. You never know. A couple of years down the line, you might want to come back to that stuff. So good thoughts, Wes. I think we're going to close it out here now, guys. I'm going to go get some food, getting a little bit tired, but thank you guys for talking about AARO. Thank you guys for talking about the MH370 stuff. Thank you guys for being part of MH370X. Thank you for being part of the UFO community in general. More stuff to come on this. I appreciate everybody who's been following along on this. This is not the end. This is, if anything, this is just the beginning of a group of very knowledgeable, well-informed people who want to change the world, who want disclosure, and who wants to know about technology that can help us all. So thank you guys very much, and have a great night. Are people dropping hard R's in the chat? Guys, hard R's are not good. Actually, hard R is in like regarded. If you guys are regarded, that's totally fine. But, okay, guys, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys tonight. I'm gonna go get some food. I'm hungry, and I don't know. Maybe I'll play some more video games when I get back, but might just pass out as well. So, more people are interested in the UFOlogy stuff anyway than they are in the video game stuff. But if you like Unicorn Overlord and strategy games, that's probably what I'm going to spend some of my time on this weekend, just decompressing from everything else that's out there. But yeah, I'll be back into the UFOlogy, advanced technology stuff here in the next few days. I'm also going to try to do Hard Truths number 8. I've got like a few people lined up for Hard Truths podcasts, and I'm working on a few others as well that are pretty big, I think. Yeah, pretty big. So should be awesome, guys. Yeah, I've been playing this game called Unicorn Overlord. If you're interested, it is a strategy game. I really like strategy games. It's on the Switch. I figured out how to get my setup working, but I can only stream on one platform, so I was streaming on YouTube for now. I wanted to try to stream on Kick and the other whatever gaming things, but whatever. Anyway, guys, have a good one. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace, everybody. Thank you. MH370X. We're out.